right. Welcome, everyone. It is episode 225 of Geekamole. And I'm going to hope that my PC is not going to die now that I have reconfigured everything so that it's not doubling back on itself 3 times over in some sort of bizarre Montezuma's revenge of audio recording.
It was more like a Kama Sutra position, really.
No, because then somebody would be getting pleasure out of it, and none of us were. So,
Okay, how about a badly executed Kama Sutra position?
that's why I'm saying it's the Montezuma's revenge of audio.
That just brings some bad imagery.
That's the intent. That is the intent. So I'm going to apologize in advance if there's some weird audio-ness, because until I get a couple episodes under my belt in this new configuration, I'm not going to know whether I'm too loud or Mouse is too loud or whatever is going on. Because as you can see,
Or whether we have out-of-sync audio.
no, our audio should be in sync. It should be fine. It's just that, as you can see, as much as I hate having an earphone in my ear, I've got one in my ear right now, so that you guys aren't hearing him twice. As we did last episode when I forgot that the laptop did that. So, sorry.
For a moment, I sounded like one of the bad guys in Robotech.
Well, it was weird because at the beginning it didn't do that, and then all of a sudden it started, and I thought it was because I was holding up the doll. And then I realized, oh crap, it is doing that all the time.
No. What happened is that the doll started echoing my voice.
I thought it, well, see, that's the thing, is because I thought because I was holding up the doll, it was reverberating off the box until I put the doll away and the box was no longer there. And I'm like, is it reverberating off of me? Does it remember that the doll was there? What the hell?
Makes you wonder if we should classify that as a minor haunting.
Sure. She's back there, still behind me.
Don't show her. Please don't show her. I don't want to see that creepy bitch.
Anyways, well, you can't see her now because we only have the one camera, and you guys in the episode are seeing it as I'm recording.
True. That's true. I am safe from her.
For now.
For now.
So, as you can see, we don't have Cece with us because reasons.
Life is being hard on her. And, yes.
But as you guys may remember from last year, we're coming up on our season change. So season 3 will be starting in September. So we are looking at possibly doing some upgrades to the show. You may see some things being introduced as the end of season 2 comes to a close. But as always, we are dedicated on bringing you the best that we can. And today, that's me and Mouse.
You poor people.
So, it's probably going to be a very short episode because, well, it's just me and Mouse, and depending on how much we blather, who knows. But let's go ahead and start off the show. Mouse, you have the first topic.
So, we have a delightful little game called Wonder Boy the Dragon's Trap. This is a remake that is currently being made in development from developer Lizard Q and its publisher .emu. I love that fucking name. This is a current version take on Wonder Boy 3 the Dragon's Trap that was originally released for the Sega Master System in 1989, back when most of you were fetuses.
Most of you.
Most of you watching this.
Not us. Especially not me.
How old was I in 1989? Oh, yes, I think I was 5. So...
Jeez. Let's see, how old was I in 1989? Oh, yeah, I was 17.
Ooh. Ooh. So in any case, however, this remake is taking a different aspect. You know, nowadays you see a lot of remakes from old Sega Master Systems and whatnot, trying to update the graphics or, you know, go full 3D, etc. This version actually has a delightful hand-drawn animation look. It looks absolutely adorable, and I can't wait for it to come out. We do have noticed that although the original studio that developed the game is not involved, they are doing this with the blessings from the creator of the series.
Always a good sign.
Which is always a good sign. You don't want to have some of the things that happen. We do not have a release date yet, but we will be keeping you updated on more as this comes, because this is one of those games I'm going to just go and shut up and take away money because it's just so adorable. I mean, look at the trailer. The trailer is just beautiful.
If only I could show the trailer, but we don't
know.
want DMA takedowns being very real. I'm just gonna hedge my bets
until hopefully the nostalgia critic and people get
yes.
So here's hoping.
So maybe someday in season 7, 8, or 9.
Someday my DMCA will drop.
All right.
Someday. Okay.
Next.
Next.
All right, Injustice 2. For those who enjoyed the combat game that came out back in 2013, NetherRealm Studios for Warner Brothers is going to be continuing the game storyline with Injustice 2. They have released a trailer. I wouldn't say gameplay trailer, but a trailer, I suppose. That is up on YouTube. Watch it after the show. I'm just going to make a line that just says that. Watch after the show. Just perpetually scrolling past us. I need YouTube it and just watch after the show.
Watch after the show.
But it's going to basically pick up with the storyline that ended with Injustice, the first Injustice game, Gods Among Us, where Batman and his allies are now working to put the pieces of society back together. However, they will be struggling against those who want to restore Superman's regime, and we've lost Mouse, who has decided to wander off. So there he is.
I'm here.
You just wandered off camera. I'm like, where'd he go?
I am unpredictable. I am chaos.
He is bored, apparently.
I'm like, I don't give a shit about this game.
Done. Show's done.
Show's done.
So in the midst of the chaos, however, apparently there's going to be a new threat. That new threat could take many shapes, as they have introduced a couple of the new characters.
Darkseid.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be Darkseid, but it's possible. But they have introduced Red Lantern Atrocitus, Gorilla Grodd, and Black Manta. And they have even shown the dreaded Red Kitty, Dexstar, while the dreaded Blue Kitty, Dexstar.
I'm sorry, that is the most ridiculous character in all of Green Lantern history. I love it.
Most vicious Red Lantern ever.
I know. Anyone who has ever had to bathe a cat knows that is true. So if you just imagine your regular cat, try to bathe that shit, and then give it the powers of a Red Lantern. All I'm saying is
screw bathing it. Just give any cat the power of a Red Lantern. It's plotting your death already. So
exactly.
All right. Next up, Persona 5.
Okay, so we have a release date already for Persona 5, which has been changed from the one we gave a couple of 100 episodes. I don't know.
That's only about 5 episodes ago.
Oh, wait, 5 episodes ago. They have changed the date to the oddly appropriate date of February 14th, 2017.
Congratulations, you've been trolled again.
Well, the reason for why I say it is singularly appropriate is the fact that the storyline deals with some thieves who are stealing the hearts of the corrupt in Persona 5. And I would say that this sounds like the weirdest Persona storyline yet. So, and that is a challenge.
I was about to say that's pushing it.
And the one thing, of course, it will come in several editions. It comes in the Take Your Heart Premium Edition, and then there is the. It comes in. Let's see. The Steelbook edition is going to be $59.99. The Take Your Heart edition will run for $79.99. In other words, I will never buy that shit. And both will only be available for PlayStation 4.
And you don't have a PlayStation 4, as far as I know, do you?
Well, I am actually waiting for reviews of Final Fantasy 15. If it's worth it, I will buy myself a PlayStation 4 and buy Final Fantasy 15. Because the reason I bought a PlayStation 2 was for Final Fantasy 7. Let's be honest.
I'm right there with you. Same reason I bought it.
That's the game that sold the PlayStation 2, basically. And for me, really, the game that would sell the PlayStation 4 would be if Squaresoft somehow miraculously, magically managed to come back out of the dead spiral it has been in for goodness knows how many years since after Final Fantasy X, and actually produced a good Final Fantasy game. And that being Final Fantasy 15. If it's that game, I will buy the PlayStation.
Well,
I will stay with my my 3DS and I'll play the sequel to Bravely Default, because that game is more of a Final Fantasy than any of Final Fantasy that came after Final Fantasy 12.
Well, they are re-releasing Final Fantasy 12, if I recall correctly, with updated graphics and everything for the PS4.
Yeah, it's also going to go into the PC as well. So.
Oh, well, good. Then...
Yeah.
All right, so next up, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, still on its way. However, they apparently, Squeenix has decided that they're going to be including what they're calling a fast-paced puzzle shooter game mode as part of Deus Ex. It's called Breach, where you'll be taking control of a Ripper, basically a type of hacker who breaks into corporate servers and steals secure data. So you'll be, I suppose, doing corporate espionage inside the machine. When I was watching the gameplay of it, I was thinking Diablo meets Shadowrun, Cyberpunk, I guess. Oh God, what was the Invisible Ink, Volume? These games that have recently come out, it's kind of got that feel just a bit. So apparently playing in that will get you some upgrades for not your main game, but for Breach itself. And so we're still looking at August 23rd launch on that. In addition to Breach, Square Enix will be augmenting its mobile lineup with Deus Ex Go, which sounds like a Pokemon series, but... But yeah. Apparently this is going to be a turn-based board game format, similar to Warcraft Go and Hitman Go. And we'll see Adam Jensen hacking, augmentations, and combat. So it's been to unravel a terrorist conspiracy of some sort. So they're oversaturating us with Deus Ex this summer. So there you go. You're going to have Mankind Divided plus Breach plus Go if you've got a cell phone or a tablet. So, next, Mouse?
What am I going on now?
Telltale.
Oh, yeah, so if you want to cry, and if you have been missing that familiar Telltale, digging at your heart and tearing it out and shredding it to pieces, you're in luck, because The Walking Dead, the next season 3, is coming in the fall. You will remember, of course, how heartbroken you were after the end of season 1, and I will not spoil it for you because that's one of the games that you just want to play. And season 2 was just as... So, of course, now they're going to continue ruining your lives in the best way that Telltale Games does. I think they're one of the best storytellers out there right now. So keep an eye out for that. I will certainly grab my box of tissues and buy it when it comes out. But in the meantime, we have something really cool. The Batman game, the Telltale Batman game is dropping this summer, so prepare for that. You'll actually be able to play a Batman game that is not fucked up to shit. So I'm looking for that. Yeah, it'll actually work.
What? No more spiraling into oblivion? What?
So here's looking towards that.
All right, is that it for Telltale?
That's it for Telltale. I would never ever want to spoil anything Telltale does because.
Well, you don't like to spoil things at all, so I'm the one who's the spoiler fanatic.
You're spoiled.
I'm not spoiled. All right, so I have been watching The Witcher 3 on Twitch all freaking week plus. And for those who are fans of the Witcher series, Gwent, which is the in-game card game. Mm-hmm. That's sort of redundant, but yeah, the in-game card game, the distraction in-game, shall we say, has apparently been specifically trademarked by CD Projekt Red, and so the current theory is that they may be attempting to introduce Gwent as a standalone game. It's entirely conceivable, given the Witcher's possibility and the fact that I believe they are not planning to proceed with the Witcher 3 game, with the Witcher storyline any longer.
Oh.
Plus having
we already had the Witcher adventure game too. Don't forget that.
Well, but they basically have said, if I recall correctly, that the IP itself is ending. It's done, at least for the foreseeable future, unless somebody down the line comes up with something really great. But they're saying that the IP itself is pretty much at an end. They're wanting to move on to something new. But Gwent would be something they could easily pull out of the Witcher storyline and just make a standalone game, in the standard tradition of your online CCG type video games. So nothing concrete, but it's out there and it's a distinct possibility. So who knows? You might be able to play Gwent with your friends.
That would be pretty cool. And you know what? Good for them on bringing the IP to a close in a dignified, well, as much as dignified as The Witcher can be, in a way that is respectful to the IP, instead of trying to milk it like a cow until its udders are black shriveled stalactites, like Ubisoft does with Assassin's Creed.
Wow, thank you for that. Which rat was that?
Oh, that's the only one that's surviving. That is Clank. His brother Ratchet died last week.
Aw.
Had a pituitary tumor, which is very common for rats. So this little guy's alone now. So we're trying to give him as much attention as possible because they're very social animals. And you can tell he's missing his brother.
All right. Well, next up, Mouse, is yours, Brigador.
Brigador? Really? Oh, I thought I was doing Sony. Okay, well, so in the realm of indie games, this is part of Mouse's Indie Spotlight. If you've ever loved big mechas and causing destructions, then Brigador is the game for you. Unlike MechWarrior and similar games, of course, this is not turn-based. Well, the original MechWarriors were kind of turn-based, but then afterwards, this is a real-time isometric shooter with tons of chaos, tons of property damage, and you get to pilot a goddamn fucking mecha. It is pretty awesome, and it's also incredibly hard. It's probably one of the hardest games out there. But don't let that detract you, because it's very challenging and a lot of fun. You can buy it directly on itch.io or directly from the developer. It's also on Steam, and it costs $19.99. And I would say it's pretty worth it.
Sweet deal. All right, next up, Watchdogs 2. CTOS apparently has come to San Francisco, which, in addition to making the world safer for the common man, allows hackers to use their phones to destroy entire city blocks.
Yay!
Yay! So the main character in Watch Dogs 2 is not going to be the same. There he goes again, wandering off.
I'm here.
The camera view is only limited to where your head is right now.
Where am I?
I'm really bad about moving back and forth in my chair, which is why my audio goes bad. But I'm trying to sit still for a change. But yeah, apparently the main character is a new gentleman named Marcus Holloway, who is a black gentleman from Oakland, who was apparently falsely accused of a crime he didn't commit. So he's out to fight the system or whatever.
Does he have an iconic hat?
He has an iconic hat and another iconic, face band and all that stuff. It's, because it's
Ubisoft.
It's Ubisoft and it's iconic.
Ubisoft.
Yes, Boobisoft. Soft boobies. I don't want... Yeah. Anyways, so apparently there was some controversy. I don't have all the details on this because I'm tired and I didn't get all my notes. I'm sorry. I was doing a lot of this last minute this morning. But apparently there was a bit of a controversy over making the protagonist of Watch Dogs 2 a black male.
Really?
Yes, because the whole crime he didn't commit and all that stuff, and making him a hacker, an anarchist, and all this other stuff apparently caused some outrage. And I thought to myself, really?
It's the A-Team.
He's a hacker. Means...
really, if you think about it, the whole crime you didn't commit, and then you're fighting the system from within, from being subversive. That is a fucking A-Team.
Yes. Well, I mean, the A-Team only had one black character, and I just...
And they didn't hack because it was the 80s, and they,
No one hacked in the 80s. But I'm like, look how technologically skilled he would have to be in order to do all this stuff. So, he's skilled, incredibly skilled, very talented, and... Are you saying that we can never have ever a black character who does a crime that he or doesn't do a crime? Or I don't get it.
Here's the thing, and this is the heart of the controversy. Some people are upset because this is a black character accused of a crime, even if he didn't commit it. And of course, some people are saying that this shows bias against black people. And then you have the bleeding goddamn morons who are saying that why are we getting a black protagonist? This is just nothing more than kowtowing to the social justice warriors. And I have my own issues with how the social justice crowd does things, but I am in favor of diversity, individual rights, and actually, telling a fucking story with characters who are, resemble real life people, unless of course you're telling a story in another planet, at which point whatever. But seriously, because you have a main black character, you are apparently pandering. No, fuck you. Seriously, fuck you. The one black character out of how many other characters that are white coming out in AAA games? Seriously, you're feeling threatened?
Well,
no.
And that's the thing that I was getting. I'm going, at what point do we draw the line? I mean, you got those people who don't want every character to be, a cis white male. But if you make it any other nationality and involve a potential crime, then it's, profiling or bias against that nationality. And at the same time, you've got the people who say, well, stop pandering to, minorities. I'm like, well, goddamn, let them just tell a story.
Yeah, for crying out loud. Here's the thing. People should not feel pressured to create characters that check boxes, just so they don't feel, like they're going to be smashed because they don't follow a certain quota. But they should also not feel threatened because of the opposite. Just tell the story with the characters you want to have, and remember that there's a whole different variety of people out there. There's black people, white people, Latino like me. You have trans individuals. You have whatever. You have this huge gamut of the human experience that you can use as a storytelling tool. And that is what it comes down to. You're telling stories about people, even if it's a game. Honestly, even if it's a game, the more fleshed out the person you tell the story about, the more people will remember your game. Unless you could even do it with a fucking platformer, for crying out loud. That is what will make people remember your games.
Let's use the race from Blade Runner. Everyone is so mixed together that there is no race any longer.
Yeah, pretty much.
So there you go, guys. It's coming out. They're supposedly improving the quality of the driving aspect of it, which was kind of in Watchdogs 1. But yeah, there you go. Watchdogs 2 is a thing. It's coming, and people just chill the fuck out.
Well, the only thing I have to say is I hope that we actually get a game this time.
Well, the game wasn't that bad last time. It was, for an initial run. No, I did. I watched it.
Did you play it?
I don't play that type of game. Well, if I do, I kill everybody in it because you know me.
Yes, because you fail. No,
it's not because I fail. That's how I play a stealth game.
No,
if everyone's dead, no one saw you.
That is not stealth. Stealth is not being detected and leaving the person alive.
No.
Yes.
If everyone's dead, no one saw you.
In any case, Watchdogs was a huge disappointment, especially after everything that was hyped up. It was kind of like a Peter Molyneux moment.
Not matching hype versus being a bad game are two different things.
Well, here's the thing. They promised all sorts of interactivity and all sorts of open world possibilities that simply weren't there. And that is very much a Peter Molyneux, plant your acorn and you'll find a tree kind of thing over and over again, which I think game developers need to stop doing. It seems to be like a trend recently because the most recent Mirror's Edge game, which launched a couple of days ago, is actually about that same level of... It delivers the same level of disappointment as the original Watch Dogs, in that the city feels freaking dead. It just irks me because you can have so much potential with these sorts of games, and they're just not doing it.
Well, moving on.
Ultraworld
Exodus.
What? I thought we were
You
doing
totally
Sony.
no that you never looked at the notes online. I had to
I
move that one.
did. I am seeing them right here.
Sony is after.
All right. All right. So let's talk briefly about a game that the developer himself is proud to accept the moniker of the most pretentious game ever made. This game is on Steam. It's very much an artsy-fartsy explore bizarre, strange landscapes that seem like they sprung up from your LSD nightmares. But it's a gorgeous looking game. But the most recent update actually allows the players to change the world and change colors and share your own creations. It also changes the storyline a little bit and adds some resolutions to some of the mysteries in the game, although apparently you're going to have to work like a mofo to get at them. And it's a free update, so it's not a downloadable for pay DLC or anything like that, and you can find the game on Steam. I haven't bought it yet. To be honest, this is a game I have been eyeing for some time, going, it looks so beautiful and it looks so strange. And at the same time, my brain goes, yeah, it looks so strange. So I haven't quite yet decided whether I want to buy it or not. It really does look like something you would get from a bad trip.
Looks migraine inducing to me. I'm like no.
I don't know. It sort of feels like, do you remember, some of you might have seen the 1960s reruns of some movies where like a character is being hypnotized or drugged, and suddenly there's these colors going around, and maybe he hallucinates and sees girls dancing against a silhouette of girls dancing against colorful background. This is that game. You play that game.
Although there are no silhouettes of girls dancing.
There's no silhouettes of girls dancing. Instead, you get massive trees. But after that, the experience is pretty much the same. So,
if you like trees dancing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Hallucinogenic trees.
Hallucinogenic trees.
All right. Are we done with this one?
We're done with this one.
All right. Just a quick heads up. We will talk about Warcraft later, but World of Warcraft, apparently the upper management of Blizzard did meet with the Nostalrius team. As you may recall, Nostalrius was a vanilla server that was privately run that was actually shut down by Blizzard very recently. And they discussed the concept of legacy servers. And apparently, according to Blizzard, it is not a problem code-wise for them to basically roll back to a legacy server. There's always been a standard in checking codes in and out and all that stuff. So they do have an archive of their old codes. The problem lies partially in art assets, which are no longer in existence. Because they did not have the same quality control of maintaining their old art assets. In addition to that, there's a problem. They basically say that the engine, the server, is designed to basically give you the bare minimum that you need to run, and to keep the server maintaining the bare minimum that it needs to run. And they would have to have a significant overhaul of that server system in order to serve multiple versions of the game's instance. So that's pretty much, it's, again, they're not necessarily saying no never, but they're basically saying definitely not right now.
Right.
So don't go looking forward to any spontaneous vanilla server builds. When they say you guys really don't want it, it's really that they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So just a heads up, that's the way it goes.
Well, and to be honest, it does sound like it would be one huge, enormous pain in the butt to do it.
Well, it would. Everyone who says it's easy to do, yes, again, for Nostalrius, who was doing basically a brute force push, they were only focusing on one version of the game. So they only had to support one version of the game. And what people are functionally asking Blizzard to do is to support not only vanilla, but they want a Wrath of the Lich King version, which would be the pre-Cataclysm. Then they have to also support the current version. And are you basically asking them to support one server for every expansion? And then on top of that, you're asking them to basically dilute the player pool from the main expansion, which makes the game look dead.
Yeah.
So you're asking them to do something that is fundamentally contrary to what is in their best interests. So, anyways, moving on now to Sony.
I forgot what I was going to say. No.
Well, then screw it. Moving on past Sony.
No. So after months of rumors that Sony was developing something a little bit more powerful than its current version of PlayStation 4, they have in fact confirmed that those rumors were true. This allegedly rumored codename of PlayStation Neo is going to be significantly more expensive, allegedly, than the $350 model that we currently have in stores. However, it is meant to support the quote-unquote hardcore gamers. It's going to support 4K TV sets. It'll also have a smoother experience for those who want to pick up the PlayStation VR, which is Sony's desperate attempt to catch up to the Oculus Rift. And for a while, they were actually worried. People were worried that developers would have to produce two different versions, one that would support the regular PlayStation and one that would support the PlayStation Neo. But they have put those fears to rest, that basically that the games would support both versions, and that you would have the high-end PS4 and the same PS4 version that would be compatible for both games. So we do not have a release date. We don't have a price range yet. And perhaps one of the most puzzling statements was that they didn't mean for the Neo to compete with the PlayStation 4, but that it was designed to sit alongside and complement the standard version, which doesn't quite make sense to me.
Well, it's kind of like what we were talking about a couple weeks ago when you were on hiatus. We were talking about how kind of the logic between doing this half step in the console generation for Microsoft and Sony is that really PlayStation 4 does not have a significant library, whereas PS3 did. And for them to skip straight to a new console for PS5 per se, then they would have to expect all the people who are currently developing PS4 games to not only develop the PS4 version, but now to develop a PS5 version. And splitting the attention like that leads to things like Batman Arkham Knight. So yeah, that's not a good idea. And really all this is just a output upgrade versus a processing upgrade. So that they can create this half console step without having to necessarily abandon the current generation of games.
All right, that works.
So there. At least that's my theory. So it's a
game
theory. I mean,
it's a theory.
It's a technology theory, not meaning to infringe on MatPat at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go watch his show. It's good. After the show. After the show. Watch it after the show.
That should be our motto. We're the news show that makes people go watch stuff after the show.
Yeah, watch stuff after us. We'll tell you what to watch just after us.
We'll tell you where to go, baby.
All right, that it for the Neo? Can I since we named the Xbox One the X-Bone, can we call this one the Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Nostalgia. No.
So next, Warcraft. I just saw the movie last night.
It made like $145 million over 4 days in China?
Yeah, thank you for spilling my notes. Would you like to read the rest of it now?
I thought you were going to talk about what you saw.
I have both written down.
Oh. See, that's what happens when you don't share your notes with me.
The link is in the notes.
I don't read your links.
You see what I deal with, people?
I don't read
This is his revenge. This is his revenge because I was saying I was going to leave out the Persona 5 because we had already announced its notes, its release date, until I read the article. And then realized it was a new release date. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So China has taken in $145 million.
In 4 days.
In 4 days. So it has not had the success, so to speak, here in America or anywhere else, but it's definitely made good money. I saw the movie last night. It was mediocre. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't good, but it wasn't terrible. It was certainly better than the movie which shall not be named. But I think the problem with the movie was, and I'm trying to be spoiler free, they focused on 2 characters but introduced 700 characters.
Sounds like another movie we know.
The problem with the movie, I think, is it should have been 2 or 3. They really rushed through a lot of character development, and as a result, it kind of relies on the person coming into the movie having known a lot.
See, this is just flashbacks to that other movie.
I mean, so like I said, it was mediocre. It wasn't bad. A lot of special effects. It was pretty, but it really should have been 2 or 3 movies. They should have allowed the story to stand on its own, because they do alter some fundamental elements of the story, of the backstory, but not so much that it loses those who are fans of the Warcraft universe, but enough to where you're like, really, that person just kind of jumped from that to that to that to that, and
Yeah.
So, and you know, and your bad guys did not. They were, spoiler free. Gul'dan felt very monochromatic. Medivh felt very monochromatic, or monotonic, I suppose, monotonic, whatever you want to call it.
Say it after me. Monotonous.
Yes, thank you. I realized that afterwards.
You have to practice your diction, boy. No. Okay, there's a reason for that. Okay, there's a reason for why I do Carol Channing like that. Very brief. Carol Channing came over here. She did a master class. We went to see it, and then
she came straight to his apartment.
No, she came to the university, and there was this girl who was asking her a question during the Q&A period. And she was very mush-mouthed. She was, Miss Channing, as an advocate of as a what, dear? As an advocate, no, as an advocate. You are a theater student. You need to work on your diction. And Asher and I and Allie, who were there, we were laughing to ourselves because here's the most famous lisp in history, giving you diction notes. Although Carol Channing has impeccable diction while also having that bizarre lisp. So I have no idea she does it, but that is why I tell you, you have to work on your diction.
I see.
That is the history behind that reference.
Yes, berries.
Raspberries.
Anyways, so yeah, I would give it maybe a 7 out of 10.
Not bad.
Which, considering I gave the movie Which Shall Not Be Named a 6, which was pushing it. So yeah, it's a good waste of a couple hours, especially if you know the storyline. If you don't know the storyline, you will probably be lost, I'll be honest. But for what it is, there you go. Next up, Mouse, Howard the Duck.
So next up, we have Howard the Duck, which has had a fantastic run as of late in the comics, being written by, oh god, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Don't look at me.
Chip Zdarsky. It has a Z, so Zdarsky. I don't know. It looks like it could be Romanian.
I would say it's Starsky.
Zdarsky. I would go for Zdarsky. But in any case, issue number 9 is going to be a little bit special and a nod to fans of both the movie and the original comics as created by Steve Gerber, because Leah Thompson is going to make an appearance in the book. As herself, she will be hiring Howard to provide services for her, which will turn out to be actually intimately tied to many important parts of the storyline that has been unwinding for the last couple of issues. And just to get really meta here, issue number 8, the end of the issue number 8 saw the return of Beverly, who was Howard the Duck's sidekick. Companion, friend. If Howard the Duck were a doctor, the Time Lord, Beverly would have been his companion.
Maybe he is. How do you know?
Maybe he is. No. And Beverly is also the girl who appeared in the Howard the Duck movie, played by Leah Thompson. So you have all of these references going on, and the original, both the writer and the artist of the current Howard the Duck comic used to have teenage crushes on Leah Thompson. So this is just all sorts of hilarity. But yeah, if you haven't been reading Howard the Duck, read it. It's freaking hilarious. I have it on my Comixology subscription list.
All right, next up, Thor Ragnarok. For those of you who have been hiding under a rock, you may not on to Ragnarok. Ha ha ha. See what I did there?
No. Just no. No.
Too late. Already done.
No. No.
But as you may know or may not know, it is rumored that Thor Ragnarok will be pulling from the Planet Hulk storyline. We don't know for sure, obviously, because the movie has not come out. We've not had any trailers or anything like that. But Mark Ruffalo, who is Bruce Banner, of course, hints that the most interesting confrontation for the upcoming movie could involve the Green Goliath versus his alter ego. It could be Bruce Banner versus the Hulk. Because as many believe, the Hulk fears no one except Banner. Even though Banner is puny, but let's be honest, Banner's kind of messed in the head.
Yeah, you kind of have to be.
Well, they've actually explored just how messed in the head he is, in that they basically have gone so far as to say Hulk is not the monster, Banner is. But they're looking at, in addition to this being rumored to be a in-space kind of buddy movie, which is not even going to have Thor's past love interests involved, because it's going to be an in-space buddy movie. It is rumored to have, obviously, Chris Hemsworth is coming back, Tom Hiddleston as Loki, because, spoilers.
Tom Hiddleston.
Spoilers, Loki is hiding out in Asgard in an obvious spot. But it's also going to have Cate Blanchett. Love Cate Blanchett.
Wait a minute.
Wait,
no, never mind.
Wait, what?
No, nothing.
What?
Nothing.
What? Ask.
Nothing.
What?
Nothing.
Ask.
No. Go.
Stop. Ask.
Continue.
Say it.
No.
Say it.
No.
Say it.
No.
You stopped me, so say it.
No, I do not.
Yes.
Well, who is she going to be in Thor?
The rumor is that she's going to play Hela.
Oh.
Because the rumor is that
she's going to be evil Galadriel.
Well, yes, evil Galadriel. That's, let's be honest. That was some pretty hot shit, despite the drowned look.
All will love me and despair, Thor.
Hey, I'd be falling on my knees. Do it, woman. Do it. Anyways, other
something about you I didn't really want to know. No.
So, anyways, Tessa Thompson, Idris Elba, and Anthony Hopkins, Carl Urban, and Jeff Goldblum will also apparently.
No.
What? No. What? No. What? No. What? Now what?
Jeff Goldblum, really?
Yes.
Why?
Because he will be playing another Elder of the Universe. He will be playing the Games Master.
He is one of the most boring actors in the history of anything. Oh.
Well, then I guess you could skip his scenes. Fine.
No, I'm sorry, but this is an actor who basically became famous for playing Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
Yes.
There you go.
I guess that.
Like Johnny Depp playing Johnny Depp.
I want to slap the shit out of him every time I see him. I'm sorry. I am so sorry.
Then don't watch.
Every time I see Jeff Goldblum, I just want to shake him and see if I can actually get no emotion out of the fucker.
Then don't watch Independence Day.
I see, that is the movie. That is the movie that turned me into a violent Jeff Goldblum hater, because my best friend at the time took me to see that shit, and I sat through all of that going, oh my fucking God, is this man capable of emoting? My God.
So next up, as long as we're chatting things of the comic book variety, DC management changes. I'm going to redirect your rage to somewhere else.
So, of course, we have had some rumors that there's wider management changes being considered at DC within the next 6 months, due to DC being in a rather lamentable dry spell. This, of course, has sparked rumors of more Fire DDO hashtag going around, which is kind of coincidental with the strange vanishing of DDO from Twitter. Like he deleted his Twitter account. He's no longer there. So people are assuming that he's under a gag order, whatever. All sorts of rumors. All we know is that they're considering management changes for the next 6 months. One of the biggest ones, of course, recently was that they've taken Jeff Johns out of the comic scene, and he's now basically coming in as the fixer for the DC cinematic universe, or the murder.
He's the DC Kevin Feige.
He's the DC Kevin Feige, although I don't know.
One can help.
Well, I don't know. He is the man responsible for Blackest Night, so he's not like, well, whatever.
Blackest Night wasn't that bad. It was not that good, but not compared to Brightest Day, it was spectacular. Brightest Day bit. I'm sorry.
So that is the rumors on DC's front. Of course, the cinematic universe. It made money. Come on, $800 million is good money, but they were expecting it to hit $1 billion, and right now it looks like Zootopia is Zootopia already crossed $1 billion, or is going to, and the Jungle Book is at $900 million.
See, maybe they should have made Captain Carrot instead.
They should have made Captain Carrot, or Disney is sitting over here going. Disney's sitting there munching on a carrot, looking at Warner Brothers, going, "Nah, what's up, Doc?" And
that's weird, considering that's Warner Brothers' character.
I know, that's why I was making.
I just highlighting it for emphasis.
No, you ruined it. That's what you did.
No.
No. So, long story short, DC is kind of in a dumpster fire situation right now. There have been good reviews for the Rebirth comics, and I've read some of them. They're pretty good. Outside of that, some people are taking umbrage at them trying to cast Alan Moore and Watchmen as the big bad evil. So I don't know. I guess it depends on how well the Rebirth idea takes off and how well it sells, and maybe how Suicide Squad does. That might actually, those two might be the indicators of which heads might roll or be shuffled around at DC headquarters.
All I'm saying is Omen looks like Rogue and Raven shared a closet.
Yeah, I am not a fan of the Titans redesign. Now, to clarify, you have the Titans and the Teen Titans, two different teams.
Although I do like Kid Flash's updated uniform. It's very Red Lantern inspired, but still looking good.
I like, well, he's no longer Kid Flash. He's now a Flash.
How the hell are they going to keep that straight? Flash and Kid Flash and...
Wally Wests, who are related, they're cousins. Probably
sure.
as it might be. And one of them is Kid Flash, and the other one is the old Wally West, who is now a Flash. And I don't know what they're going to do with Barry yet.
He'll still be a Flash. They'll all be,
unless they make him Uber Flash or something like that.
They'll all start a cooking show, and they can be a flash in the pan.
But yeah, the redesigns across the board are looking interesting. I love the Super Sons redesign. Design period. They gave Damian Wayne this kind of Assassin's Creed kind of look, which is kind of fitting.
It's consistent with what he's been wearing in Son of Batman.
It's consistent. I love Superman's Son design because
I still hate it.
I know you still hate it, but Superman's Son is supposed to be this kind of more laid-back character, and Damian Wayne is this anal retentive little prick, and that kind of shows in what they're wearing. So I like that, and I like the idea of the dynamics that might play out in the comics, so we'll see how that goes. I actually really like the redesigns for the Teen Titans, except for, I guess I like Starfire's redesign, and all right. For the Titans, I don't know. I would have liked to see Donna Troy back in the red. She's basically now wearing her Donna Troy Wonder Girl outfit, but it's black.
That's her Troya outfit, basically.
No, it's not the Troya outfit because it doesn't have like the sparkly universe stuff.
Well, it's her Troya inspired outfit, I suppose.
I guess, yes. Everybody else looks good except for Omen, who kind of looks like something that came out of a Mass Effect, which
I told you, Rogan Raven shared a closet. There you go. You got Omen.
it kind of does. It doesn't really look like Omen. I mean, Omen is a precognitive. She does not need to be wearing like a cyber armor.
Well, the fact that they kind of stole this from the 52 Omen, and they're showing the 50, and I'm like, really?
Yeah, it's also I think Aqualad's. Oh, I guess he's now Tempest. His
He looks
uniform.
fabulous
Well, I'm not quite sure what the point is for the open toe.
for swimming
Boots.
purposes, I guess.
No, it doesn't really make any sense. But you know, he has full boots except for the tiny little open toes, which I don't know. It kind of makes him look like okay. That is like the superhero equivalent of going to the beach with sandals and socks. It looks that ridiculous. But whatever.
What? I just want to know: is he going to be anal retentive and asshole-ish the entire series, or is he going to chill out?
Well, we already have. That's right. The new Aqualad is supposed to be gay. So maybe they're gonna keep Tempest as anal retentive to draw contrast. I don't know. I kind of miss the old Tempest. You know, before they made him important and deep and, you know.
Yeah. So, shall we move on?
Let us move on.
Let us move on. Speaking of things being rebooted, Battlestar Galactica. Why? Why? Apparently, they're looking at Lisa Joy, who is the writer for HBO's Westworld, to adapt Battlestar Galactica to a feature film for Universal Pictures. But they are not going to look at the most recent sci-fi version. They're looking at the original.
Oh my god. Really?
I'm just going to say Universal, stop. Stop.
Look at the choices you've made.
Sci-fi has already recently done a critically acclaimed version of the series. Let it stand and simmer for a while. When the generations have moved by and the people have forgotten, and the so say we alls have stopped at the conventions,
And when the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter is aligned with Mars.
then you can do it. But stop. Okay? Just saying.
Just stop.
Just stop.
Stop.
I'm saying this to the Blade Runner 2 people. Stop.
Stop. Stop. And in the case of Blade Runner 2, stop and don't start again.
Stop
Blade Runner
and burn
was
it
not
all.
A sequel.
Burn
it
it
is
all.
a perfect movie. Leave it as it fucking is.
But yeah, so Universal, knock the shit off. Okay, we don't need a reboot. Make a new IP for God's sake. Just saying.
Just saying.
Next up, Mouse Valiant, Faith and Archer.
So I have recently been. I have never really read Valiant before, outside of some of the Harbingers series when I could get my hands on it. But I really, really like what they're doing nowadays. They're putting, right now, this is the summer where all of these, companies just love doing events for the summer, like these big crossover events. Marvel is doing Civil Wars 2. DC is, of course, rebirthing itself. But
Get that image out of your head.
Oh gosh.
Now I'm just going to equate it to the baby dark side forever.
Oh god, that was a thing, wasn't it?
It was. It still is.
It still is a thing. Oh god. But Valiant is actually doing this very strange thing where they're not doing these huge crossover enormous whatchamacallit events. They're actually putting out comics that deal with characters. So for example, you have ANA, The Adventures of Archer and Armstrong. It's currently focusing on the private lives of the characters, including the burgeoning relationship between Archer and Faith.
I'm just gonna say Valiant does have an overarching thing called 4001, but and they recently just finished Book of Death, so I'm just saying they do.
But it's not the thing that you put that.
You don't have to stop everything, collect all the stuff. You can keep reading what you're reading.
Exactly, which is not what you do with Marvel and DC. Every time they make one of these huge events, they manage to drag every single book in existence on their current lines into the goddamn event, which, by the way, after having read a lot of interviews with Marv Wolfman and Perez and Jimenez, that shit really wrecks you. It wrecks your storyline. You know, Wolfman was a very kind of planning, arching overhead kind of guy. And things like, for example, Crisis on Infinite Earths, even though he planned it, the fact that he suddenly had to accommodate his 5-6 year plan for the Titans into that shit really kind of took the Titans by surprise. And you can see a couple of years after Crisis, things just started cascading. And you had other creators as well who have to fit their storylines into these events, and most of the time these events are not announced ahead of time. You maybe get like 5 months ahead of time. Suddenly you say, we know we're in a dry spell, we need to do something to drive up the sales, so let's do this huge crossover events. And then you have the artists and the writers going, oh shit, now what are we going to do? How are we going to do this?
When you grab the characters by the short hairs and sling them in another direction.
Well, this is what happened with the Titans with Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer is not a good writer. I hate his writing, but he kind of sort of had a thread that he was trying to do. It wasn't going anywhere, but at least he was trying. And then DC told him, well, we need Superboy fixed, so you have to do. And then they dropped Lawbill in on the title, for crying out loud. And that thing, the Titans they were not doing very well. And then when they dropped Lawbill in and they did the whole thing, it never recovered from there. And it's known.
But we're dead horsing, so let's focus on Valiant.
Yeah, we're dead horsing. So in Valiant, we have this relationship that is being focused on between Archer and Faith, who, by the way, is, of course, getting her own series pretty soon after the end of a fantastic miniseries. So I definitely, if you are tired of these firm-encompassing crossover events, and tired of seeing stories derailed in favor of these gigantic events, I suggest go pick up Valiant, pick up A&A, pick up the new Faith book that's coming out, because it's going to be good.
All right, next up, Highlander. I'm warning you, this is not a reboot. This is not a reboot. They've already gone down that road and darkly survived somehow. But Studio Canal UK is apparently planning a freshly restored high-def 4K release of the original Highlander. Now, admittedly, they did recently, a couple years ago, release a what you want to call a director's cut. But this is like I said, not a total reboot. This is a cleaned up, visually beautiful version that you'll be able to watch in your 400K TVs if you got one. And it is, the traditional Christopher Lambert as Connor McLeod, your Sean Connery. The whole thing is there, the original cast. So this is not a reboot. This is the glory that was the original. So suck it up and deal. And
so kind of like a scrubbed up old Highlander.
I wouldn't call it a scrubbed up old. This is a repolished.
Prettied up.
This is pretty. They made it pretty.
It's glittering and being gay.
Sure, it's fabulous.
Glitter and be gay.
Well, how would I know that? Because I can't sing that.
I would like for you to try.
No, you don't, because anytime I sing, you yell at me.
That's off camera. On camera, that's entertainment.
I see. But I'm not going to. So, moving on to our last topic of the day.
All right. So, you guys might remember the Wacky Racers by Hanna-Barbera. Is that how you pronounce it?
Hanna-Barbera.
Hanna-Barbera, whatever. HB. So, as you know, DC has recently been releasing new comics based on old Hanna-Barbera IPs, such as the Scooby-Doo Apocalypse with hipster Shaggy. Well, if you by any chance might have picked Wacky Racers, which you remember those, you had Muttley and
Dick Dastardly,
Dick Dastardly,
Penelope Pitstop.
Pitstop. They have reinvented the series. Okay, disclosure, I honestly did wonder for a little while when they said that they were doing Wacky Racers. I wondered, how are they going to make this interesting? Because Wacky Racers, it's just a gag show, well, they have reinvented the Wacky Racers as this post-apocalyptic Mad Max race to the finish, kill or be killed combat comic. And it's fucking insane. It is absolutely completely nuts, and I fucking love it. It reads like one of the worst fanfics on the internet on purpose. But I mean, the grammar is fine, etc. But it's just so out there with all sorts of things that they're trying to get away with. That is just absolutely inspiring in what they're trying to do. Like, there is a scene where Penelope Pitstop is in a bar and she's like got bottles all around her. She's lounging there, and she gets hit on by this guy, who he hits on her, and he lifts up his skirts, and he has a third leg, like a literal third leg, with fishnet stockings, and he says something along the lines of "You wanna try," and then she kicks his ass. But it's that kind of level of absolutely post-apocalyptic, mutants everywhere, bizarro thing. And they're also taking a couple of interesting turns with some of the characters. For example, you remember Sergeant Blast. He rode around his little tank with Private Meekley. They've kind of rebooted Sergeant Blast, and she is now a trans character, who faces off with a Nazi Red Baron.
Mind you, the Red Baron has always been in there.
Yeah, it's just that
they've taken what was comedic and showed you the dark, seedy underbelly of it.
Exactly, and it's fucking insane. And I'm reading this and I'm going, oh my god, I want a video game made out of this, honestly.
Just wait, they might. Who knows?
They might. I would play the shit out of that game. Make it a Telltale game, and it'll be absolutely just amazing. So here's the thing. I don't know if this is a good comic or not. It's so tits to the wall, upside down, inside out, bizarre, that I really have no frame of reference to say, I don't know if this is good or bad. It's just, oh my god. It's kind of like watching Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, Mad Max edition in some cases, just because of how flamboyantly extravagant it is.
Let's be brutally honest. When I was reading the little tidbits of it, I having been a fan of the Laugh Olympics and Wacky Racers and all that stuff when I was a child back in the day, long ago.
They had television.
They had televisions, believe it or not. Yes, they were black and white most of the time. God, I'm old. Yeah, having been a fan of those when I was an actual child, I was like, I don't think I can handle the seedy underbelly of the no. This would be like watching My Little Pony do drugs. I don't think I could handle it.
I'd watch that shit.
Oh, I'm sure there's probably already a Slash fan about it. But probably a Reddit subreddit somewhere full about drugs and sex in the My Little Pony universe. But yeah,
let's go Canterlotting.
I just think but then again, I think part of the problem is that I'm not a fan of post-apocalyptic race
shenanigans
things. Who knows? I mean,
well, honestly, it feels like a parody of both things. It feels like this dark humor parody of the Mad Max genre and a dark, somewhat dark parody of Wacky Racers. It really isn't. I don't think it's written to be taken seriously.
I would say I'd have to read it in more detail and probably put myself in sort of an Archer kind of mindset.
It's kind of like a Tank Girl thing.
Yeah, I can see that.
It does have that bit of a Tank Girl vibe. which, you know, I have to admit, it takes a uniquely creative individual to look at Wacky Racers and go, "We're going to give this shit the tag girl treatment, and it's going to be glorious."
We'll see. I mean, this is Hanna-Barbera being experimental, and I it could work. I mean,
it could work. I mean, so after
I mean,
reading the first,
well, let's be honest, all the original fans are my age, so.
well, also my age, because I had the reruns when I was a kid.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, all the
Cartoon
original
Network
fans
is
are
the
my
thing that
age.
happens.
Well, the original fans were all seated and jaded.
Well, here's the thing. Scooby Apocalypse, as lackluster as it is, because I don't think they actually went as far as they could have gone with all of the possibilities. It's still better than the Scooby-Doo movies.
Yeah, well. So, shall we wrap this up then?
I think we need to wrap this bitch up.
Okay, so we've actually, I think, hit that hour mark, believe it or not.
We have, in fact, hit the hour mark.
So, thank you everybody for coming out and watching. We will be back next week at our, I say usual time, but because this has now become more of a YouTube show than a Twitch show, we'll be back sometime on Sunday. There'll be an upload.
Sunday when you feel down and out.
Yeah. So, keep your eyes open, and we will see you next time. And as always, hit that follow button, subscribe to us. We need the love. Yeah, call us. If you have ideas, topics you would like us to cover, comment down below. We haven't said this in a while, but we need your love. We love you. We want your love back.
I need your love. We need your love. Come subscribe now to me.
And on that note, literally, goodbye, everybody.